All right, guys, we're here to talk about two things today. One is copying, pasting images off the internet, and the other is transforming image size rotation. So to kind of tie the two together, we're doing a Google search for transformers. You can do whatever you want, but I'm doing an image search in Google for an image, and we talked about this being pictures off the internet not being large enough. And so I'm going to show you how you can filter some of those out. So after you've gone to there, you're going to go to Tools over here, and underneath Tools you see Size Large. So I'm going to do large. Now these are all the large images, and I'm going to take one of these and copy and paste it into Photoshop. So to do that, I'm going to click on this guy. Of course, this is the old OG Transformers. You can see the size of it right here in pixels, so that's great. But to get the actual picture, I'm going to right-click and open image in new tab right there. And you'll see that it opened it up, and boom, there it is, nice and big. If I click on it, it even goes bigger, which is awesome. You can kind of see it, how the quality of it. I'm going to right-click, copy image, and then in Photoshop, after I've opened my file, I'm going to paste it. So Control V. Paste is Control V. Now what I want you to notice, a couple things. Over here in layer 1, it created its own new layer before it pasted it, which is awesome. And it made it nice, and it's a nice big image. Now it's not the full size. If you kind of come up here, you can see I've got rulers up, which is Control R, which is rulers, or View Rulers right here. And you can see it's about 6.5 inches by 6. That's a really big picture from the internet. I'm really pleased with the size of this. Usually, they'll come in the 3-inch range, which is great. Even some large ones, quote-unquote large ones, can come in like the 2-inch range, which is okay. But this is a nice big image that I got off the internet, so I'm really happy with that. If your rulers are not in inches, you can right-click that, and you can switch it to inches if you want to see the actual size of your thing. We'll use rulers later on for some other projects, but here you go with copying and pasting a transformer onto there. So now with the transformer theme, we're going to free transform this to be different sizes. We can warp it. We can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. In order to do that, the keystroke is Control T for transform. So Control T. And that gives us a box around this where we can now start to move this bigger and smaller. Yeah, so we can change that around. You can also, if you notice the cursor, if you move it outside of the box, it turns into arrows, and you can rotate it. Okay? If you click inside the box, you can move it. Now, I want to point out that Photopea, the online program, if you start to do this, it will start to warp. So to make sure that it stays consistent, you're going to hold down Shift and do it. Now when I hold down Shift in Photoshop, that allows me to warp it. So those are kind of opposites on Photopea and Photoshop. So in Photoshop, you don't want to hit Shift, and it keeps it the right size. But if you do hit Shift, it will warp it, and Photopea is the opposite. It will warp it first, or hold down Shift and keep it the size that you want. Okay? Now then, whenever you've done a size change or a free transform, you need to then come up here to the top. You'll notice the option bar is set up for free transform. So these are all free transform options. You'll notice no tool is selected anymore. This is just for free transform. And so I can either say cancel the transformation. As you can see, I'm hovering over it. You can also see the keystroke is escape. And if I click that, it goes back to the original way I did it before. So I can do it again. Control T. Change the size. Let's say this is what I want right here. Then I can come up and click yes, confirm. Or if you'll notice, it said, if I hover over it, it says enter is the command. You can also just double click right on it, and that will solidify it. Boom. So that's done right there. Okay. Now then, let's get into some more options. I'm going to do a Control T again. You'll see some of the bars are off the edge of the page. That's totally okay. And now if I right click, you'll see there's a lot more options. I can scale, I can rotate, which we were already doing those in our free transform option, but you can skew. So skewing will make it look like that. I can right click, I can distort. So distort will make any point or line go whichever way I want to. I can perspective, makes it look like he's going way far away. And I can warp, which is a lot of fun. You can kind of really like have some fun with this one and distort him, warp him, all kinds of fun ways. And then up here, yes, no, to the distortion. Okay. Now there's multiple ways to get to that. If I control T, of course, you just saw me just then, I right clicked. Also up here under edit, there's the free transform, which I'm doing already. It's checked, that's what I'm doing. But there's also transform, and there's these options also. And lastly, another way to get some of these is keystrokes. So we just talked about shift will either allow you to distort it this way, or control will allow you to move one point independently, or in this one, alt will size it based on the center point. So if you already got it where you want it and you need to resize it to that center, you can do that. And then hit yes. Now the last thing I want to talk about is undo with our history. If you go to Window, there is a history layer. Photopea has this also. It's right here. And you can see all the steps that I've done. And I can click on any of these to get back where I was doing some stuff in the past. Okay? Now, the keystroke for this is Control Z to back up, or Shift Control Z to go forward. And I think you get about 50 steps of forward and back remembrance. And that is also up here under Edit. Free transform, redo transform. Because that was the last thing I did. So Control Z, Shift Control Z. Okay? Now what I want you to do is do this to 3 pictures. It doesn't have to be transformers, but just get that practice. Copy, paste 3 different images in there, and then warp and free transform each one in a different way. And then you can either do a screenshot of the whole thing with your layers, or you can do a save just like we did before. Upload this. So I'll just show you that file. Save as. Save it to my computer, to my downloads, and I'm going to go to JPEG and call this, 3 transformations, whatever you want to call it. Okay, make sure it's a JPEG so that it will go on Google Docs, Google Classroom. Sorry, don't put it on the Google Doc. Just put it on Google Classroom. Save, and then you can just hit OK to whatever this says. OK. So again, just do what I just did here with the transformer. Do it 3 times and turn that in on your Google Classroom. So review again. We're copying and pasting off the internet, making sure that we search for the large image underneath the tools, and then we're free transforming on Photoshop with Control T, rotating, etc., and then hitting yes. All right. Have a good day.